evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today on our platform. I want to thank you for joining me. But without wasting much time, I have a very wonderful gentleman who knows his stuff, who knows what he's believing, who knows where he stands, and he's not afraid to state where he actually stands because he has his own reason. This is what I like some people, when they can iron out the point, when you can put your point across, and when you know what you're talking about properly, it makes life easy and it makes things go better. With me in the studio today, I have lawyer Dele Farotimi on the show. Welcome, sir, to the program.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Great. First of all, I want you to introduce yourself to us. Who is Dele Farotimi?
Just another Nigerian. One probably who saw Nigeria at a time when we had hope, you know. We believed it could be a better country. There were enough bases to be optimistic about the future. There were problems, quite all right, but we believed. And then as we began to enter the late afternoon of life and began to contemplate what kind of country we're going to be leaving behind for our children, one that became increasingly alarmed, and then alarmed enough to decide that silence was no longer an option and began to speak out. So essentially, there is nothing that differentiates me from the next Nigerian aside from the fact that I elect to speak out. And hopefully, I will infect enough people with the insanity for them to open their own mouths and begin to speak out as well. Yorubas will say, I saw on the Berry Buruku. At least speak. Let people hear your own bit. So that's the difference. There is nothing other than that to say about the man.
Okay, thank you very much. You are a lawyer, so when it comes when it comes to the Nigerian Constitution, which we had you talking about so many times, that there was an eclipse that said, "Give me 100 Dele Farotimi, he's gonna fail you." So, why do you think 1999 Constitution will fail everybody?
Well, the first question you need to ask about the 1999 Constitution is, as with every other thing, when I drafted documents as a lawyer, the first question you ask the parties to the agreement that the documents will typically be, you ask what their intentions are, you find out what the goals and purposes of the association might be. And then you reduce into writing the intentions of the parties to that agreement. And that becomes an agreement that binds the parties. And even the agreement must obey certain laws must not be offensive to the laws of natural justice. It must not be offensive to good conscience. These are the bases on which you draw agreements. How much more when you're drafting a constitution that is supposed to govern over 200 million people? The 1999 Constitution is only a constitution in name. The Abdul Salami government that was the rump of the Abacha junta, after Abacha had been murdered and they needed to leave, they obviously came together and brought a document that, to a very large extent, if the truth be told, represents nothing more than the aspirations of those who had ownership of Nigeria at the dawn of what they call its nascent democracy in 1999. So essentially, the document they call the 1999 Constitution is not a reflection of the will of the Nigerian people, that's one. And evidently, it hasn't worked for the interest of the Nigerian people. There is nothing redeemable about that document, aside from the fact that it is rooted in illegality and fraud. I really do not see anything about it. What do you recommend about a document that is saying you should have 774 local governments, These local governments become the basis for revenue allocation. The federal government becomes the one creating federating units. The states cannot create local government without federal approval. There are so many things about that document that it offends even anyone with any sense of natural justice should feel offended by that document. So as far as I'm concerned, given the fact that it is not a reflection of the will of the Nigerian people, and it has proven itself to be completely useless in delivering Nigerians to any place of value, and that has been the case for at least the last 21 years, it is only right that we should at least speak to ourselves to tell ourselves the truth about the non-workability of the document in question. So yeah, that's why I've always hammered that it's useless, because it is.
It is. On the Constitution, they talk about the 68 exclusive list. Is that what makes it useless?
Yeah. There is this common phrase. Nigerians talk about a return to true federalism. And when they talk about true federalism, it's actually a head-scratching thing, 68 exclusive list. Look, you either have federalism or you don't have federalism. The reality is that Nigeria is not federal. It has not been federal
from
since January 1966. It stopped being federal long ago. So when they talk about exclusive list, residual list, even the entire structure itself, whatever might be on the list or not on the list, when you have created a situation where we just talked about it, brother. The federal government is the one that has the powers to create a local government. And where now, at least we read government in secondary school before we read law. The structures of government, types of government, the types of states, we were taught these things. There is no other federation in the world where the federal government creates local government and then uses the local government. So please, let's see all this talk about 68 on the residual list, that one on the exclusive list. They are distractions. You need to look beyond what they label these things and look at the reality. The reality is that Nigeria has become highly centralized. It's not even a unitary system. It's an insult to call Nigeria a unitary system. Britain operates a unitary system. We see the devolution of power in Britain. The Welsh have their assembly. The Scots have their assembly. At the end of the day, power is devolved. And the mayor of Manchester could tell the Prime Minister in London that I'm not shutting down my city because we have different realities. That is because they have a proper structure. They call it a unitary system, but within a unitary system, you have sufficient independence within that system to allow the local governor or the local government to tell the Prime Minister that what you are proposing does not work for us and will work with what works for us. That is a functional system. So it's not about the names we call these things. All these names, sometimes they are very, look at Nigeria now, we call it Federal Republic of Nigeria. We all know that there is nothing federal about Nigeria. We call ourselves citizens. We know we are not citizens. So it's time we actually move beyond these distractive labels that do not reflect the reality. All these exclusive lists, please, brother, all these things are distractions. All those exclusive lists things, look at the source of the document. We've talked about it. How do you speak of exclusive lists or residual lists in an anomaly? It doesn't work. The Nigerian situation is far removed from that. It doesn't work like that. All those things are just facts. It doesn't work like that in reality. Not that the governors themselves, even the powers they do have, is it when it's not accountable to anyone, they don't use it for anybody's good anyway.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. I'm getting to have a different perspective to what I used to know, because the best thing in life is to hear from both sides of the Atlantic, hear from both sides of the argument. And when you hear from both sides of the argument, you pick up the real thing from there, and then you learn from there. First of all, sir, you said we are not even a citizen. Is that constitution that make us not a citizen, or a natural birth of place that says I'm a Nigerian by birth, and then all the things you're supposed to enjoy are not being given to you because some people are gripping to it? Is it greediness that is causing our problem? Is it greediness that make the constitution not to work? Is it something to do with that make it difficult that this constitution will not work with, sir?
Okay. Number one, I'll make a quick correction. I don't use the word statism. I said federalism. We are not a federal republic. The introduction of statism and the presidential system of government to Nigeria they are themselves part of the advancement of the fraud that was started when Obasanjo after the 1977 Constituent Assembly rejected the request to go back to a parliamentary system and foisted a presidential system copied from the Americans on Nigeria, forgetting that there are several historical bases and institutions upon which that particular federation has been erected. So, but let me deal with the specificity of the question you have asked, and it is really to do with the rights of the citizen under whatever type of government we might be practicing. Because the name we call the government is not the reason why the politicians are not responsible to the people. The only reason the politicians are not responsible to the people, which is the kernel of the question you have asked,
yes,
is because the people are actually not seen or treated as citizens. Mm-hmm. If a man's vote does not count in the election of his supposed rulers, let me just say, in the election of the rulers, it then means that to a very extent is discounted and his interests are equally not considered in the governance or misgovernance of the country, as the case might be. Now, why should the politician care about the interest of a person whose vote he has reduced
to nothing,
to 10,000 naira? He has reduced the vote to 10,000 naira. In the last election in Ondo State, they had I learned a new phrase, Dibo Sebe. Dibo Sebe.
Dibo Sebe.
So, you know, there are observers, ward observers at each polling booth who wait to confirm that you have voted for the party of their choice. And as you come off, they pay you. So you are being paid enough to cook a pot of soup. Dipo Sebe. It is an advancement of Brother Fayoshe's stomach infrastructure in Ekiti. But you find that these things are replicated all over Nigeria because the people have become pauperized. So the vote does not count. The politician knows that whatever he does for 4 years, all he has to do at election time, that is when he doesn't even have overwhelming control of the police and INEC. He comes at the end of 4 years and he pays. And the people who have been impoverished, they sell. So this question about why politicians do what they do because there are no accounts. Nobody accounts for these things. So they will do it because the people themselves are not citizens. So it's really not, that one is nothing to do with the Constitution. The Constitution itself has its own issues, but if you change the Constitution today, bring a brand new Constitution, you still have a lot of work to do before you might set Nigeria on the right track. But any Constitution that does not make the Nigerian people the centerpiece, make them citizens in the true sense of the word, citizens, the system still won't work.
Okay. Let's go to this federalism and federal system and parliamentary system. Yeah, do you think because we changed to federalism, that is the foundation of this our so-called problem? If we are on parliamentary, maybe it might be better.
Let me attempt to define some things. The fact that a parliamentary system does not mean that you cannot be a federal system. What federalism talks about really is the relationship between the component unions, the component parts of the whole. Remember that independence, there were 3 regions: the North, the East, and the West.
Yeah.
By 1963, an additional region was created, the Midwest region.
Yeah.
So by 1963, there was a new constitution, the Republican Constitution of 1963, which was in operation until January 15, 1966, when the Cagnanzio struck.
Yeah.
Now, the point is that from that point, Nigeria remained federal in name, but the structure began to change. Prior to the coup, it was the regions who told the federal what was required of Nigeria. But after the January coup, the relationship changed. Whoever was in control of the federal government, that is the central government, began to dictate what happened in the regions. So you had a period between 1966 to 1999, but for a brief interregnum of 4 years, when you operated in 1979 Constitution, before Buhari's first coming in 1984, January 1st. That 4-year period was the only time when it was not the military that was in charge of Nigeria, running it from the central and structuring it as it pleased. So where you had 4 regions in 1966, today, without consultation with the Nigerian people, without a single discussion with any of the ethnic nationalities that made up those 4 regions in 1966, Nigeria has today become a country with 36 states. Nigeria changed from that time to become a country where the VAT received from the sale of alcoholic products will be taken to Kano, where the consumption of alcoholic beverages are criminalized. All those happened without the consent of the Nigerian people. Nobody consulted the ethnic nationalities that formed the original union. So when we begin to speak in terms of the incongruity of the 1999 Constitution, the reality is that it is merely the codification of all of the madnesses that had started since January 1966. Nigeria has been extensively restructured from the federation that it was in 1966 to become a mongrel. That is when a dog has no determinable pedigree. All kind of village dogs have converged to impregnate the mother. They can't even tell exactly whether it's a Labrador or whether it's a Rottweiler. That is what Nigeria has become. It is no longer a federation. What it is would require extensive study, because in reality, it is also not a unitary system. People should stop lying to themselves. Nigeria is a mongrel of no determinable pedigree.
Can I say something? 1 second. Can I say something then? Should I be able to say openly that maybe Nigeria doesn't even exist? If you don't know the father, so how could you say the child belongs to XYZ?
Nature abhors vacuums. There are over 200 million of us who are called by the name Nigerians. History would ask of some of us who are alive today exactly what roles we played when these insanities were being enthroned, and exactly what roles we have assigned to ourselves in seeking to find a way out of the mess in which we undoubtedly are enmeshed. But the fact of the matter remains that We are in a very dysfunctional place, and if we must be honest with ourselves, some radical interventions are required if Nigeria is not to implode. And that is not in the interest of the common persons on the street. We are the ones who will lose, because our rulers they all have dual citizenship. If they are not running to Barbados like Auntie Dizzy Baby is now a Barbados diplomat flying all over the world. The West is not interested in our mess as long as our money is kept in their own banks. So at the end of the day, it is we who have nowhere to run to, who have to quickly wrap our brains around the fact that time is running out. And we really, really need to confront our problems. So, frankly, it's all on us. It's up to us. Nobody's going to help us but ourselves.
Can I ask this question then, right?
Yes, please.
Are we a slave in Nigeria? If we're not citizen, then automatically we are automatically a slave. Will you call us a slave because we cannot determine, we have no control over what is going on there?
Let me say this. The word slave might sound pretty strong to some people, but I'm not going to argue with your characterization of a Nigerian as possibly a slave. I prefer to use the word serfs. Serfs. S-E-R-F. You find that Nigeria is in practice, in reality, a feudal state. We elect or pretend to elect our sultan every 4 years, and it's time limited, even though Obasanjo attempted to become a lifetime sultan. And I hope that this ventriloquist doll in Aso Rock will not transmute into a life president as well. But what you must understand is that to determine what the people of a country are, you look at the responsibilities of the government and the rulers, their obligations, that the way it flows, who is serving who in a state, will tell you exactly what the people are. When you look at the fact that the entirety of the Nigerian state is structured to ensure the maintenance of power and to also guarantee that the rulers are kept in style, you find that the closest parallel to that would be the old feudal system. And in feudal systems, and Nigeria is very, in fact, the best parallel is the feudal system. You find very quickly that one, in feudal systems, there are two classes, the ruling class and the serfs. You might have the merchant class in between, and sometimes the merchant class also goes into the ruling class. In Nigeria, there is a mixture between the ruling class and the economic elite. So, because the economic elite mostly derives their income from government patronage and rent. There are people who also work for their money, but they are also dependent on goodwill with the government. So you find very quickly that that class exists, is almost above the law. In most cases, they are above the law, but then there is that lower class. That lower class in Nigeria were essentially serfs. We are not full-blown slaves because they still hand us documents that allows us to travel. They still pretend, they are compelled to pretend that we are a democracy. So when they can't catch us in the dark, they still pretend in the light of day that we are citizens, so that they might not offend their international partners. Which is why, for instance, they will be telling you that nobody was killed in Lekki, then they will say it was true. Which was why they will wait until dark. The only reason they are denying Lekki is because they have to. Without denying it, it becomes a problem. So to answer your question, I'm thinking in most cases we are serfs, but I will not quarrel with the characterization of the Nigerian in reality
as a slave,
as having been rendered slaves. That's just the reality.
So should we say, like the title, backdoor slavery? is the same thing as equals to serve.
I wouldn't argue with that title. You know, when I saw the title, the first thing that crossed my mind was, wow, this man has been reading minds. Because in reality, when you said backdoor, you're saying in practice, because it's not expressed.
Yes.
But to understand any phenomenon, the proper thing to do is to observe it, study it, observe its characteristics, and then you can then draw your conclusions as to exactly what that thing is. I think in the case of Nigeria, you can actually say backdoor slavery, because nobody has said blatantly that there are two classes of citizens or multiple levels of citizenship in Nigeria. Nobody has said that. But when you look at the reality, when you observe the fact that a Nigerian policeman can actually stop a person called a citizen and put a gun to his head and blow his brains apart, and he knows that nothing will happen, that's because that person is not a citizen. If he were to be a citizen, nobody will do that to him. So it's not out of, I don't think it's out of place to say that what Nigerians are experiencing is actually a form of backdoor slavery, because that's what it is in reality.
Okay. Let's go to immediately after the independence. Awolowo was trying to get rid of the Alimanjaris, and for that reason, they didn't want him to do that, because they reckon that if you get rid of Alimanjaris, who will be doing what we don't want to do? Is that what is extending to the south now?
I mean, what Awolowo, it wasn't in Awolowo's powers to have gotten rid of the Amajiris.
He wants to offer free education.
What happened was this. You know, we sometimes forget that until I believe I think it's 1903 or thereabout, when Sultan Bello was defeated and the Northern Caliphate came to an end and the Sultanate was declared. Until that point, what is today known as the northern part of Nigeria has been ruled for centuries by a feudal system. You have the Sokoto Caliphate and you have the Kanem Borno Empire. Feudalism works by weaponizing ignorance. If the people know better, they would not accept a caste system, which was what was in operation in the northern part of Nigeria until the British annexed it in the early 1900s. So when Awolowo came into contact with the North, Awolowo was wise enough to realize that ignorance had been weaponized in the northern part of Nigeria, and he knew that without curing the problem of ignorance, you could also not cure the weaponized poverty, because the two are linked. When a man is ignorant, his poverty is assured. Awolowo saw that, and he attempted to use education, but of course he never governed in the north. So what he simply did was to ensure that in Yoruba land, in the western part of Nigeria and what became the Midwestern region, education was also weaponized. So you found that there was a rapid expansion of education infrastructure in the 50s and 60s in the western part of Nigeria. I went to my mother's village school, Fiditi Grammar School, in 1978. When I went to that school in 1978, I had expatriate staff from Canada, Pakistan, India, Ghana. It had a rich faculty. That was a village school in 1978. So what Awolowo did was that in recognition of the dangers of ignorance, he weaponized knowledge, and then he also ensured that avenues were opened up for the Yorubas to become entrepreneurs, to become manufacturers. He created the hubs. It wasn't just him as a person, there was a thinking. A culture was engendered where planning was central to government exertions. So they planned 10 years ahead as a region, and they worked diligently to make those things happen. Now, today, on the contrary, you have people who are governing in the western part of Nigeria who are bent on ensuring that the people remain as ignorant as they can possibly be so that they might be maximally exploited. And today, what you find is that Yoruba land has begun to mirror the northern part of Nigeria. Poverty has been weaponized by the political machinery in control of the western part of Nigeria. And it is the same in the southern part of Nigeria. It is the same in the eastern part of Nigeria. So the virus that used to exist only in the northern part of Nigeria,
coming down south,
the decade and centuries old feudal system, has escaped the northern part of Nigeria. So what you have today is that the entirety of Nigeria has been feudalized. Poverty has been weaponized against the people. Ignorance has been weaponized against them. So you find that the average Nigerian is constantly kept poor and impoverished and is made ignorant. So now they are the ones who control the press. They tell him what to think. They feed him his news. They tell him who his enemies are. They tell him who his friends are. They ensure that he is not even able to make an informed choice. He's constantly preoccupied with survival. So that is the lot of the Nigerian today, my brother. Awolowo knew that to keep a man poor, you render him ignorant. That was the basis of his exertion.
Okay, can I go to the herdsman because of where we are now? The herdsman has been going to people's farm to hit their crop. And if the crops are gone, obviously inflation will go up. And when inflation go up, they won't have enough money to buy things, and they become more poorer and poorer and poorer. And food system that is now being exported from the north down to the south, we get a big grip on the people in the south. This is a cancer that must be get rid of. What's your take on this? Is this not a cancer that how do we eradicate this cancer completely from our system?
The problem with Nigeria is that we tend to have what I call a sense of selective outrage. I have used this analogy before. Permit me to
Please do.
dredge it up and use it again. And it is the one that says that it likens Nigeria to, you know, those pit latrines that have different holes in a long slab.
Yeah.
Maybe let's imagine it's got like 10. And then everybody is hunched over his own mound of poop. They're crapping. And then somebody is complaining about the fat. Why are you fatting? You find very quickly that exactly, you're already in a toilet where everybody's nostril is already messed up. Anyway, your sense of perception, perspective, they've gaslighted everything to the point where what is right and wrong becomes subjective sometimes. That's why I like into the headman thing too, because the headman thing is just a fruit on a tree. There is an evil tree that births all of Nigeria's problems. That evil tree is called the tree of impunity. That happens everywhere the law does not rule. Where man rules, impunity thrives. When a headsman knows ab initio that there will be no consequences for his actions, he becomes emboldened not only to enter the farm, but to even kill the farmer when the farmer dares to complain. When the headman knows that a garbage shield will open his big mouth And he can count on Femi Adesina to echo whatever garbage also says. Why would they not run around with impunity? When the Miyetti Allah knows that when some Fulani kidnaps in Kankara, the governor is going to phone them to go and broker peace and be carrying bags of dollars and pounds around. And the headman knows that when he carries his hostage, somebody is going to call him to speak to him in conciliatory terms. When the headman knows and the bandit knows that he can enter the office of the governor with his Kalashnikov slung across his shoulder, with a general of the Nigerian army stood by his side who will still tolerate his presence, in understanding and acknowledgement of the fact that there are now several actors in the field of force in Nigeria, you begin to understand the conditions under which the headman, the mentality is already one that says that nothing I do will attract any adverse consequence. So the problem of the headman should not be treated in isolation. It is merely indicative of a much larger problem. All this one about all the restructuring. When people are talking restructuring, they're talking whatever you are talking. Is it true federalism? I don't know which one is false federalism. What everybody is saying at the end of the day is we are living in a country where the law does not rule. Because if the law were to rule, you won't see this madness. The law doesn't rule. Man rules, and man does as he pleases at any point in time. That is the reality of our situation. So it's not just headman, it's our madness, it's the impunity. The one that says that a man might be arrested and kept for 41 days in DSS custody before he might be released. The one that says that a governor can call up the army and they can come to a toll gate and shoot people. We don't even know how many. They can deny as many as they care. We don't know, and we are likely to never know, because the powers of the state have been used in a criminal form. The only place you see that happening is in a place where impunity rules and not the law. If any harm of a Western government should not only that they did what they did at Lekki toll gate, but that they will participate in the cover-up that has happened since, all of them in that government will be gone. But not in Nigeria. This is the way we roll. We are a nation that thrives on impunity. If Nigeria should ever submit to law, it will collapse. So, my brother, our situation,
Can I say something, sir?
Yes, sir.
If a rat witness a cat being impregnated by a lizard, then obviously the cat cannot do anything to the rat anymore, because it's gonna blow the cover. Is that the situation in Nigeria, sir?
Yeah. There is no, you can draw any number of
analogy from
dystopian scenarios related to Nigeria, and you'll be banged on the money. Because frankly, you know, I think it was in the 90s, you had what we call the Charlie Boy Show.
Yeah.
And one of the catchphrases on Charlie Boy Show was, "Welcome to the Charlie Boy Show." I think it was Toby Obey who used to say that in those days. Say, "Welcome to the Charlie Boy Show, where anything can happen." And that's Nigeria for you. Anything can happen. You can hear tomorrow that the First Lady has disappeared to Dubai because of insecurity in the villa. And then you might hear the day after that one person who was being haunted day before yesterday for being a fight chief has been appointed a minister in the cabinet today because he has been anointed a saint. So frankly, if you are looking for consistency in Nigeria, you're wasting your time. We're in the Charlie Boy Show. Anything can happen in this space. And a lot of things that you might think will never happen anywhere else. Yeah, I think we are ready. So, welcome to the Charlie Boy Show.
That is very, very serious, sir. And the people in the South, our leaders, our elites, our governors, our Tinumbus, our Feniferes, our politicians, are they the one allowing this to happen, or they don't have any power to change anything? Is there a conspiracy theory between them?
You've lumped a whole lot of disparate people together.
Yeah.
When you say our leaders in the South, and then you proceeded to mention Afenifere
and Tinubu,
Bola Tinubu in the same breath. In the same breath. The first thing we must begin to distinguish very quickly is that people speak, but they speak with different interests in mind. If you were speaking with Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, he will be speaking to you about the 2023 elections. That's the focus of his interest. I'm not too sure Chief Adebanjo will speak about 2023 elections with you. So you find very quickly that the two have disparate agendas, and the two will not be speaking or singing from the same hymn song, hymn books. So first thing first, we must understand that these interests do differ.
Yeah.
That's one. And then you must also understand that, unfortunately for Nigerians, because we do not have citizenship, what has happened is that our citizenship rights have been aggregated, and then individuals presume to speak on behalf of groups. So somebody like, if they want to talk to the Yorubas, they will call an Are Gani Adams.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to ask a Delefaro to me, or you, or any other Yoruba person. They will call the Gani Adam, they will call the Bola Tinubu. Their own interests are not necessarily the same as my own. And in reality, in any true democracy, it should be an aggregation of the people's voices, not an aggregation of individuals who are presumed to be speaking on behalf of citizens. So, Southern leaders, when they speak, there are certain things in relation to which they might speak, and some of us, we agree with them. And there are certain things in relation to which they will speak, and will say no. But ultimately, I really don't think that our salvation lies
in their hand.
The sectionalization of, I'm sorry?
Our rights lies in their hand.
No, really, I think it is actually an error on our own part to leave our rights to other people to exercise on our behalf. We are the ones who need to understand very quickly that we must find our voices, identify our interests, and then articulate them. If the story of the hunt were to be told by the deers and the antelopes, it is unlikely to glorify the lion. If we who are affected, the citizens, do not find our voices to start speaking out for ourselves, what will continue to happen is that some people will presume to speak for us as they have always presumed to speak for us, and they will continue to aggregate our rights as they have always aggregated our rights. And the Nigerian state is very happy to speak to individuals that it can bribe instead of speaking to citizens that it would have to engage. Because it's easier to bribe 10 people than to satisfy 1 million people. So the state is always happy to find people who call themselves leaders of a group. So you are leading, so you are representing so number of people. The number of people you presume to represent determines your weight and value in the conclave of slave traders. So what you find very quickly is that the individual right is always subsumed because it is in the interest of the state and those it now recognizes as the leaders of those people, to create those people that are called leaders and then deal with them instead of dealing with the citizens, because the state would rather deal with those people than deal with citizens.
Wow. A lot of Nigerians might be understanding today that our problem are far deeper than what we thought before, because if we can open our eyes, our ears properly and see things the way they're supposed to be seen, our problem are far deeper than what we envisage. And that we employ so many of us to please share this broadcast so that a lot of people, more people can actually learn new things and add a little bit new feathers to their cap, because that will probably be setting freedom from their slavery that they've been sold into. Yes, I know that Afenifere and Bola Tinubu has a different agenda, because on the program that I actually stream as well, Baba Adebanjo was saying that if they elect, if his son wants to stand for election in 2023, that he, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, will actually oppose him. So this is Ayo Adebanjo for you, that even if his son wants to carry election box, he is going to oppose it. Can I go straight to, we've seen some few diagnoses. Can we try and go to some few prescription? What do you think, in a layman language, that we have to do to set ourselves free from this slavery mentality, or, as you put it, feudal states? And how do we make sure that Sultan of Abeokuta does not become a problem for us in the south as well, and the lifetime president in Aso Rock does not happen? What do you think might be the solution, sir?
I am of the firm opinion that the only way to save Nigeria would be to turn around completely from the direction in which we are already traveling. Because to continue on our current trajectory is to guarantee the disintegration, violent disintegration of Nigeria. Nigeria is already being pulled into different directions. There are several pulls, and all these pulls are dangerous. They are very, very, very dangerous. But I am not one of those who preaches hopelessness. I am of the opinion that it is not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
That
I'm here.
We are able to walk back from the tip of the abyss. And it is my own considered opinion that the best thing to do in the circumstances would be to take a different direction. And in recognition of this, we put together a 59-page draft constitution, which was annexed to the book Do Not Die in Their War. And what we did with that prescription was that we were saying, look, the last time the Nigerian people sat down to discuss how they wish to be governed, they came up with what became known as the 1963 Constitution of Nigeria, the Republican Constitution of 1963, which structured Nigeria into 4 regions, and then brought Nigeria into what was essentially a parliamentary system modeled, which was what we were using even pre-independence. The 1963 Constitution made us 4 regions, and it then strengthened what had been achieved with the Independence Constitution of 1960. So what we did in my draft constitution, which we propose as a way out of our mess, is to take us back to a regional system based on federalism. We then took recommendations from the Abacha Constitutional Conference, the Willings Commission, the Jonathan Conference, the Obasanjo one. There have been several talks, even the 1979 and the 1977 Constituent Assembly. We looked at the different times Nigerians have talked And what we did was to aggregate. So we came up with a 6 regional structure. We came up with stronger regions who retain the bulk of their earnings and send, I believe, 30% to the federal government from where it goes into a further distributable pool. What we did was to revert to federalism based on regions. We then sought to strengthen the judiciary as well and to separate what had been fused together because of the military command structure that took over the governance of Nigeria after the January coup of 1966. So we have not prescribed magic. We have merely listened to Nigerians and then aggregated our different ideas. When I said we, it's because I didn't work on the Constitution alone. I had the help of one of my partners in the law office, Mr. Raf Nwoke. And I also had the support of several other people who worked on it, read through it, gave us their opinions. So essentially, we've not designed a way to El Dorado, but at least it gives us a beginning. Nigeria would not we wouldn't become paradise overnight simply because we change the constitution. The people themselves will eventually have to ask themselves what kind of people they are, what kind of country they want, and what kind of place do they want to leave behind for their children when they eventually go, because every one of us will go eventually. So we propose something, but it's not magic. We only tried our best. And I'm sure other people might have other ideas that might either improve that or even be superior to it. And we're willing to hand up and say, yeah, better idea. But Nigerians need to critically examine where we are with a clear understanding that there is a need to turn around.
Okay, there's a bigger need to turn around. I don't know what a lot of people might be thinking about that, because sometimes turnaround does not come that easily, especially if you're on a freeway, a motorway that there's no way to turn around. Can I ask one stupid question? Do you think it's not too late to be talking about what we're talking about today? Because if we don't know what might happen this weekend, with all the rattling going on in the south, in Ondo State, in Oyo State, in Ogun State, Egbado to be precisely, and more people are jumping into the bandwagon of this is right and this is wrong. Ondo State Governor said to the Fulanis that are not registered living in the bush to please leave, and the presidency said you have no right to say that, and a constitutional lawyer has come and said the president doesn't know what they're talking about because Ondo State Governor is the one in charge of the state security. So why would you tell him he has no right? What is your take on this? Is this discussion a bit too? Did it come too late? A bit too late?
As you're talking about this thing, I'm just remembering Fela's song. She said, "For Oju Elegba, for Oju Elegba, what will they come from?" All right. For him, confusion don't break both. See, our real tragedy, if the truth be told, is that we have a tendency to dance around issues and ignore what is staring us in the face. Akeredolu is of the APC. They all campaigned on a platform that said that they were going to restructure Nigeria. Now, the same Akeredolu is the chief security officer of the state, but he cannot give an order to the police commissioner in the state. The police commissioner in the state is not responsible to him. That police commissioner will take his order from the IG. So, and it's a federal system. And then, in Oyo State, because for every action there are usually reactions.
Yeah.
You had a Sunday Igboho becoming the landlord issuing quit notices. If the idiots issuing quit notices in Sokoto are wrong, Sunday Igboho is just as wrong. But the reality is that people are being killed in that place, and there is a failure of governance. And then you have garbage Shehu opening his mouth. The only thing that can come out of it is to defend the rights of aggressors. Yes, not every Fulani man is a herdsman, and not every Fulani man is a bandit. And the victims of banditry in Kankara were not Yoruba people. They were Fulanis. But when the state has failed, as the Nigerian state is manifestly failing, reactions are bound to happen. Montesquieu, Count Montesquieu, had what he called the social compact theory for the emergence of the modern state. And he said that man came together as a collective nasty and brutish, because the way Nigeria right now, brutish, lawless. So men came together and said, look, we can't be living in this state of nature. Let's form a state, sovereign, whose job it was to keep everybody safe. So the first purpose for the creation of any state, that is this and property. The tragedy of Nigeria is that it does not citizens. So it does not believe that it doesn't those who should be citizens are left to their own devices to protect themselves as best as they can. That's why every Nigerian has a Megani, they can afford one. Then they buy dogs, and then they buy guns. Then you sink your borehole, and then you buy your generator, because you are not citizens. So when you have an issue, the failure in performing the first of his duties, which is the protection of the lives and properties of the citizens, that failure is what has engendered the madness that we are describing. So you would have a situation where the state governor, in an attempt to protect the lives of the people that he is elected or anyway, we just talked about the Kosebe. Look, it is correct. He had to pay the people to be elected. So now he is elected. He has to protect their life, which is the most basic of his duties. But because he is aligned to the political platform that he is sitting in Astro Rock, when he talks, people will talk. And then the Monday people coming out, issuing quick notices, there will be reactions and then there will be actions. By tomorrow or Sunday now, you hear that somebody has killed one Fulani in one place. The next thing, in Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, you'll find things being burnt. It will not just be the Yoruba man that the weaponized Almajiri will start attacking. They will start attacking every southerner. Nigeria is actually sat on kindlings, dry sticks, and we've saturated it with petrol. And Buhari is a pyromaniac. He likes playing with matches. All the people around him, they love playing with matches. They don't seem to be aware of the fact that the house is already burning. It's soaked with petrol. Everywhere you turn in Nigeria, there is a likely war front. Unfortunately, our rulers are blind and they are incapable of seeing. But the people themselves are the ones who need to tell themselves that it is not in their interest to allow a conflagration, because our rulers are already poised to flee. The ones who will go to, they might go through Ghana, but I doubt if there is a Nigerian political ruler who does not have second residency outside of Nigeria. We are the ones who need to be careful not to allow this situation
get out of hand,
descend into chaos. They are profiting from the problem in the northeast. They will profit. We are the ones who have to be careful that we don't allow this to get out of hand. We are the ones, they don't care.
they don't care. They don't care and they don't care. Hello, I can hear. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, I think it was late. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you think for the future, if someone has got dual citizenship, maybe they should be excluded from ruling the country? Maybe that will make them say, this is where I belong.
I didn't hear that.
Okay.
There was some sort of tail off. Can you repeat the
Okay.
question, please?
Do you think, maybe for the future's sake, maybe dual citizenship should not be an option for anybody who wants to be rulers, who wants to be in charge, so that there's nowhere to run to?
Well, frankly,
Look, I can hear you a bit now. Yeah, you're coming back now. I think we're having some.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear that hello coming clear, loud and clear.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but there's some sort of freeze on the line.
Okay, I can hear you now, sir. I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Wow.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Oh my God. And there's still a lot more to talk about. Okay, let's come out. If the problem persists, come out and relog in again, sir. If the problem persists, please come out and relog in again. Maybe that might fix the problem.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, I can hear you too.
Okay, fantastic, yeah.
You were asking a question related to dual citizenship,
Yes, sir.
but it wasn't done before the line went off.
Okay, do you think preventing people where you have to revoke one's citizenship to be a leader in the country, do you think that might solve the problem?
I don't know what is wrong with this thing, but what I did here, and I'm not too sure if you're still hearing me because there seems to be some freeze again.
I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you now as well. What I can tell you is this. The question of dual citizenship cannot be taken in isolation. Why do people hold on to dual citizenship in the first place? It is because the average Nigerian wants an alternative to Nigeria. Why would they want an alternative to Nigeria? We should go deeper and begin to ask questions. Why are they looking for alternatives? It's because more often than not, they don't even believe in Nigeria. Force them to give up one, they probably give up their Nigerian citizenship in 90% of the case, if not in all cases. But ask the average Nigerian living outside Nigeria where he would rather live. More than 95% of them would prefer to be in Nigeria if Nigeria were to be working. So you find it's not such a simple, straightforward question. I don't believe that having dual citizenship is the other nationality, and there is nobody in my house, my children, nobody carries anything but the Nigerian passport. But I understand that some people were born outside Nigeria of Nigerian parentage, and that does not diminish the fact that they are patriotic or they are interested in seeing a better Nigeria. So I really would not think that dual citizenship should be sufficient reason why a person might be viewed with suspicion in relation to his allegiance and fealty to Nigeria. However, I believe that for certain offices, in fact, if you must hold political office in Nigeria, you must give up any other citizenship aside from that of the Nigerian state. You must give it up. It must become a qualifying point for political office in Nigeria. It could not be that it was at the end of Jonathan's tenure that Diezani acquired a Caribbean citizenship. She acquired it while she was still a minister, or before she became the minister. And she acquired it for a purpose, and the purpose has become obvious now. And she is not alone. Each and every one of those who purport to rule Nigeria have secondary residencies outside Nigeria. Fela sang it better in his song, that the movement against second slavery, where he said Nigerians are being ruled by allergists. Strangers are the ones ruling us. They work in Nigeria, but they live outside Nigeria. They view Nigeria as their plantation where they earn their income. But they don't live here. They don't go to schools here. Their hospitals are not here. They are dentists. You don't see dentists in Nigeria. At tailor in Nigeria. So dual citizenship goes beyond the issue of as it is a place to start. That's my view on dual citizenship, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you think this problem can be solved? A yes or no answer.
Hello?
Do you think this problem can be solved? A yes. Do you think this problem can be solved? A yes or no answer, please. Okay.
I didn't get that. I heard the bit about do I think this problem can be solved, and then you trailed off again.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Do you want to log off and come back in again? So that we, and when you come back in, you answer that. You answer that question, and then we close. Okay, listen, gentlemen, we've been with our guest today on the show. Is lawyer. He said he was a lawyer. Yeah, Dele Farotimi, who has been very, very outspoken on so many things that has been happening in the country. I think I've learned some few lines more than what I know before, and I'm sure you must have learned some few lines as well. The things we need to do is we need to share this program so that people can actually make up their mind on some few needs, things they need to pick up from what this gentleman is actually teaching us, because what he's teaching me today.
I get you now.
Okay, so do you think this problem can ever be resolved easily, amicably, within a very short time?
Well, I'm going to work with the knowledge that the network is really getting funny now. However, I heard the bit where you asked if the problem could be resolved amicably.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
That's correct.
And I would imagine that we're talking about the Nigerian problem.
Yes.
Or the dual citizenship.
No, the Nigerian problem.
The Nigerian problem.
Yes.
Oh, for me, the challenge of humanity generally, not just Nigeria, the challenge of humanity generally can only be met when we continually challenge orthodoxy and then seek to resolve the many problems that would arise from the very fact of our existence. We would always disagree. There would always be conflicts. But as long as we are resolved to resolve those problems respectfully and with cordiality and peacefully, then they can be resolved. Once we rest sufficient to understand that I should not treat the next man the way I do not wish to be treated. If the Yoruba man understands that he owes the Igbo man a duty of care, and the Hausa man or the Fulani man, he doesn't care who you are or where you're from. If we all agree to be bound by the law,
okay,
if the same law will bind all of us, if we would agree to live respecting the right of the other person to be themselves, then we can resolve this peacefully. There is nothing here. Our situations are not intractable. If anything, I would even go as far as to say that the people themselves have no problems with each other. It's the rulers that have always divided the people. If the Fulani man who is busy rampaging on my farm is aware of the fact that there will be consequences for his bad action, he won't do what he's doing. He's doing it because he knows nothing will happen. If a policeman knows that he would have to account for the life of the citizen he shoots, he won't shoot the citizen because he knows he will have to go and answer for it. But when everybody knows that nothing will happen, that's impunity. That is what is causing the madness. So our problems are not unresolvable. There is nothing special about the Nigerian problem. The only problem we truly have is leadership paralysis and elite stupidity. Because the elites need to begin to understand. The old Yorubas have this proverb. They say, "A pan pa rai, olohun pa aja." The pest, the epa would be.
Yeah, it's the parasite. The parasite.
In the dog.
The parasite.
Exactly. So if the dog dies, the parasite dies with the dog. So it is in the interest of the parasite to keep the dog alive. Nigeria is of more value to everybody, including these our myopic rulers, if it is functional. If it becomes dysfunctional to the point of collapse or implosion, it is not even in their own interest. So our situation is not unredeemable, but it is essentially in the hand of the common man on the Nigerian streets to redeem himself, because the people should know better. The elites, they have either become desensitized to the madness around them, or they are profiting from it and they have lost sight of the fact that if the system implodes, they themselves might become casualties of such implosions. That's where we are as a people.
Okay, I'm gonna open the line. Please, there's a guidelines to decide the type of question you can ask. First of all, Mr. Dele Farotimi believes that Nigeria can walk and Oduduwa can walk. But the problem is our problem is greater than what is happening now. It's our leaders. Whether they are where they are now or they move to Oduduwa nation. If the problem behind what we are facing now does not get resolved, the problem is still going to continue down the stream, no matter what we do. So the line is now open. Please, let's try and get some questions in, and let's ask him your question. You will only be given like about 1 or 2 minutes maximum, so that we can close by 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. While we're waiting for people to call us, one of the first things I would like to say is to seriously thank you and say a very big thank you for coming with me on the show today. I know you are a very busy man and I've been trying to chase you for some time, but luckily you agreed to this on a gentleman scale, which I really I won't take for granted, because I learned some few new things myself today. I learned some few new things, and some of the new things I learned today takes me to even higher realm, because I could stand up anywhere now and defend some few things. And one of the few things I can defend is that the ekpa don't pare tolong paja, our elites, our political elites, things they're killing us. But when the problem comes, maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend, when the problem comes, it's probably gonna come to them first.
They usually the first victim. And at the end of the day, when you really think about it, when a man is down, he has very little to fear about falling down again. The Nigerian poor have become so short of hope. They've taken away their hopes to the point where the fear of death is no longer there. It's disappearing. When a man is hopeless, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. What? See how it goes. Maybe one day we'll wake up.
Maybe one day they will wake up. But I think the way things are going now, I think, when one side is trading words, it's easier. But when two sides are trading words continuously, and one is not ready to keep quiet for the other one, then problem is coming. Maybe have we getting to that stage yet? That problem is in our hands already, because there was something that just came in on the wire just now, and I think this is what agitates the Ondo situation. They said an Amotekun in Ondo State went to the forest. They trailed some few things to the forest, and on getting there, what they discover was two mammoths that they run back home to warn the people that it is too late to correct anything now because things are so bad in the forest. And then when they actually investigated it, they realized that is the situation for true. So the amount of things, ammunitions, and preparation that are okay, I'll read it word for word. Yeah, I think there's a video as well. Amotekun Security Network became frightened with what they were confronted with in Yoruba bush. They ran back home to warn the Yorubas that Fulani war is imminent, and that is what is there. I got a caller for you, sir. Caller, your name, where you're calling from. You only got 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening. My name is Olaolu Adeboye.
Thank you for calling, sir.
Basically, thank you. I need to ask Daily, knowing that there's a feudalist hegemony out there that's actually interfering in the democracy of the entity we call Nigeria.
Can you hear him, sir?
No, I can't.
I can hear you.
Okay, no, he can't hear you. So let me try and change the microphone around. 1 second, sir. Let me try and walk the microphone around and see what I can do. Let's see. Okay, what about now, sir? Talk now, uncle.
Let him try.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you now.
Okay, he can hear you now.
Right. Good evening, Daily.
I can hear.
I follow you a lot, and I've been pursuing a question from you for a long time. So this is my opportunity. You've identified with the fact that there is a feudalistic hegemony in Nigeria, a very, very powerful base that runs a lot of things going on in Nigeria.
He can't hear you properly. Yeah, let's try and work out another modality for that. 1 second.
Or maybe you could just listen to him and ask me what he's saying, because I'm not too sure why.
Okay, no, the reason being that the system I'm using today is not a normal system. I have to work out some few magics around the whole thing to make it work. Let's try in 1 second now. Let me just get my audio mixer up. Okay, my audio mixer was actually closed before. Wow, that was dangerous. 1 second. I really want people to enjoy this, so yeah. Now, hello, sir. Can you try now again, sir?
Right. I hear something now.
Caller?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
I'm trying to work something out for you. Just 1 second.
We are trying to.
Okay, caller, we can hear you now. Go ahead now, yeah?
Right. Daily. Right. Let me try to say all of that again.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Mr. Daly.
He can hear you, but he might not be able to respond to you. But just fire on, sir. Fire on.
I can hear you.
Okay. I've been following Daily to me for a while, and I've actually enjoyed the way he's actually expressed himself. But I've always had this question for Daily. Daly has always said that there's a feudalistic hegemony running Nigeria. And if we continue to try to hold Nigeria together, how does Daly and those people who are optimistic about our current situation intend to diminish the powers of that hegemony so that we can have a semblance of harmony? I hope you got all of that.
I got bulk of that. I think I understand the question now.
So did you get that?
Yeah, he did get that. He's going to answer the question now.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much.
That is my question. I'm wrong, but I believe the question, how we can come out of a situation that I have of the feudal hegemony.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Okay. Was that the question?
That is the question. You get it right, yeah.
Hello?
That is the question, sir. Yes, that is the question.
Okay. What I will say is this. The first step in correcting any problem would be the proper identification of that problem itself. In the case of Nigeria, I have consistently spoken in terms of a feudal hegemony that has gotten hold of Nigeria. And that is something that is clear to see if you look. Practically every state of Nigeria today is more of an outpost to that system. You can liken the governor of every state governor to an emir. Liken the House of Assembly also of district justice or the judges, liken them to the alcalis, and you have Nigeria in 36 places. But these are things that could be worked through. We can change this. If you get the is crying because of the problems of Nigeria, to see the similarities between his problems and those of the man in now begin.
I think we're having some problem with the audio again. Please pardon me with that. I think we lost him, but he's gonna try and relog back in. This is the problem with Nigerian team already, as we know it. It happens every time. We've been speaking to our constitutional expert person who knows what is behind the Oro that the Oro is making noise with. So the problem we have here is things are not working the way they should work, but we've been able to iron some few things out and get to some few conclusions that even when things decide to walk back, how are we sure that we can still get somewhere with this? Okay, our Oga Dele is back. I believe you're back. Okay, you're back. Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
This is your network today. Is something else.
It's always a problem sometimes like that, especially when I had the flyer make. That's why I don't normally make flyer for my events. If I make a flyer for my events, there's always a problem.
Wow. Well, it is what it is. But essentially what I was saying to the gentleman before the line began to misbehave again, is that what we really need to deal with the problems of the feudal hegemony that is strangulating Nigeria is to move beyond our focus on the problem as though it is one people that are against us, it is that tribe or that religion. Is actually a class thing. The feudal system I speak of is essentially to be seen in terms of class, not in terms of tribe or in terms of religion. The persons ruling in Sokoto, for instance, or let's even use Katsina. That Katsina, I love using it because that's the president's home state. So if the president's home state can be as dysfunctional as Katsina has become, it gives you an idea of just how dysfunctional the whole country has become. So if we begin to think beyond a localization of our own problems, and then we look beyond playing the blame games based on religion and tribe, and we can see the generalized state of the failure of the Nigerian state, and the man in Ondo State can look at the security failures of Ondo State and see how it mirrors the security failures that are manifest and evident in Katsina State, or see the one that is present and manifest in Kaduna. It then becomes, no, it's not about the Fulani really.
Hold on, sir.
It's about a general breakdown
get a gap for you, sir.
of the security architecture. When you begin to look at it in terms of Fulani headsman attacking Yoruba, it's Fulani versus you. It's not Fulani versus Yoruba. It is the failure of a state, slapping the state in the face. It is the shamelessness of the people who manages Buhari that should even preoccupy our attention sometimes. In Yobe, or where was it that farmers were killed recently?
Yeah.
They said the farmers didn't take clearance from soldiers. They didn't take clearance from army before going to their farm. In Ondo State, instead of focusing on the inability of the state to safeguard the interest of the people, he's running his mouth again. The governor has no right. So what should the governor do? He should maybe he too should buy pickup for them and declare amnesty for them as well. So it is these things goes beyond how necessary. Recognize just a general thing, full and thing. That happen to be dominant food issues. You can look for that on there. You can look within ethnic politics of General Buhari and his clique, but it does not change the fact that what you are confronting is the criminality that has been allowed to run unchecked. That's all it is.
Okay, thank you. I have another gentleman on the line for you. Caller, go ahead, sir. Your name and where you're calling from. He will hear you, but you might not be able to hear him. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Daly, and good evening to Heritage CV. We want to say that we acknowledge your efforts in our agitation towards our dear Yoruba nation. First of all, I want to acknowledge that Mr. Daly is talking from the perspective of a commentator.
I don't think he can hear you. Just 1 second, sir. 1 second.
But the question I would like to ask him is, he is speaking as a commentator.
Hold on, sir. Could you start it all over again, because I think he didn't hear the first part. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. what I want to say is Mr. Billy is talking from the perspective of a commentator, and he has been so articulate in doing so, giving us several instances. But what has been his effort to galvanize people in this is sacred belief in his ideology and commentaries. Action, I mean in terms of action, not just commentaries and speaking on issues and coming every day on the air to talk about all these things that he believes. We,
Hold on
who are the believers that Nigeria is not working and it needs to be broken down, we have galvanized ourselves, and daily we are in actions. We are putting our actions right in our drive to actualizing our nation. So he is speaking and making commentary for or in support that Nigeria is going to be an El Dorado in future. So what has his actions be in galvanizing his own resources, people, to actually go with him in that perspective? That's my question for him. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm not sure he hear all that questions, Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Did you copy that at all by any chance? I think we lost him, Hold on 1 second. He's gonna come back in a minute, yeah.
Okay.
The line has been very, very challenging today, so I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Dilip Farutimi for giving us the chance to come in and go back in again. Okay, he's back now. Let's try your question again, sir. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Okay. Let me confirm. Can he hear me? Can Mr. Dilip hear me?
Hold on 1 second. I don't think so yet, because I cannot even hear me myself. 1 second.
I wrote the bulk of the question.
Okay, I think he said
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so go ahead with the answer then. Yeah.
Do I need to repeat the question?
I can hear you.
No, you don't need to. Yeah, he said he got the bulk of the question, so let's wait for his answer. Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you.
I think the audio is still playing up, Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Okay, he's back. Yeah. It's been very challenging today. The audio, isn't it?
Okay, back again. This is going quite
irritating. Yeah. Okay, maybe you can answer that one and take one more, and then we call it a day, because you've actually tried. Hatch for an hour. You give me an hour 49 minutes already. So if you hear that question, let's answer that question, and then we take it from there.
Well, the little I can hear of the question the gentleman has, it was specifically to do with how about galvanizing action instead of just coming to the studio and speaking local trade all the time. Did I get that right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Now, here is the difference between a mob and an army is to be found in education. I don't have guns to offer anyone in what I have described as a liberation struggle. I have no violence to preach to anybody. The only way I can galvanize the people is to educate them. Let them know that this is not normal. To let them know that there are other ways that we can do this, that there are alternatives. That is the only thing I can do as a human being in lieu of picking up arms. Now, if I want to galvanize the people, I must first of all help them to understand the issues around which I seek to galvanize them. We sat down and had a long discussion today, and in the course of our discussion, we've had occasion to define what federalism is. We've had occasion to define what a parliamentary system is. We've had occasion to break down certain precepts and explain things to ourselves. This is because ignorance has become endemic in our society. If you mobilize an uninformed man, what you have is a mob. We saw a mob on the American Capitol on the 6th of January.
Yeah.
It had no agenda. It was fed anger. All it had to work with was anger. If I mobilize the people without education, all that would happen is say strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter.
Yeah.
But if I mobilize the people around ideas, if I mobilize them to the point where they understand the issues, even my own death will make no difference to the capacity of that movement that I have galvanized to achieve its objective. So I am beyond making noise. And this is for me not about becoming popular or becoming known. It has nothing to do with that. I'm not a social media influencer or anything of the sort. All I am doing is that I see danger ahead. I see danger beyond my own lifetime, and I have children. I know they will have to deal with this. So it becomes incumbent on me, if all I can do is to draw attention to the problem by making noise as I am making noise, if all I can do is to bring clarity to the issue by breaking it down the way I seek to break it down, so that we separate the chaff from the wheat, so that the people understand, for instance, that this is not about the Fulani man, it's about impunity. Yes, the Fulani man is the beneficiary of the impunity today, because his own brothers who benefit from his own use of impunity in power. Impunity is impunity is impunity. The same impunity that you see running around Nigeria, you see it in localized cells. You find it in Delta State, you find it in Imo State, you find it in Lagos State. But attention is drawn to the one who is different from the sufferers by those who look like sufferers but are benefiting from the situation. So those who benefit from the use of fascist powers in Lagos State on the 20th of October will tell me about Fulani irredentism when it pleases them. The ones who are benefiting, when Akeredolu was benefiting from Fulani hegemony in Ondo State, himself and Gaba, they were not busy exchanging words. So it is important for me that the man on the street of Ondo State understands the issues to be able to get it clear that his problems, yes, it might be the Fulani man. In fact, in most cases, it's certainly the Fulani man in the bush that is doing the work. But how is his own governor, his House of Assembly people, how are they different from that Fulani man in the way they have treated him? So whilst it is right to draw attention to the criminality of the Fulani man in the bush, we must not forget to show that the people of remember that Fulani man in the bush has a Yoruba man in the palace, has a Yoruba man in the House of Assembly, whose interest and his own interest have decided to ensure that the impunity is continues to remain. The issues goes beyond the simplest classification and religious line. It's a classic.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. I have two questions I'm going to lump them into one. There's a gentleman on the phone. I'm going to give the phone to in a minute, yeah? Okay. Okay, let's answer this man, and that will be the last caller, yeah? Gentleman, go on and ask your question, sir. Yes, your turn now, sir, yeah?
Okay. Máa fún yín ṣe. Mo rò pé ọ̀rọ̀ olóyìnbó kọ́ ni tálẹ̀ yìí o, mo sọ́rí o.
Gadele hear Yoruba as well, but because of the kind of people that are listening, we might want to do it Oyinbo or do Yoruba your way, sir. Do your way.
Ẹ máa lọ yanjú ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú Yorùbá Oòduà làwa ń sọ ń pẹ̀. So, number one, tẹ́ ẹ bá lè rántí nígbà ayé Babangida ẹ rántí plate number kan tó jáde ńgbà kan tán sọ pé born to rule.
Yes, I rántí.
Ìgbà tán dẹ̀ pariwo díẹ̀ ọgbẹ́jọ́ wọ́n ń sọ fún wa what is happening now ló ń sọ fún wa ńgbà yẹn but àwọn èèyàn wa so called elite mo sorry wọn ò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ọ̀gá Délé ń sọ pé it's not impunity la máa pè àwọn people yìí ti kọjá ọ̀rọ̀ impunity wọ́n pààyàn every day impunity wo la tó fẹ́ máa clarify yẹn sí which I don't believe is intentional and they were following a plan they are executing it. Ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ Ogun State lásán yìí pé àwọn sójà collide pẹ̀lú àwọn kìnní ta ló head báràkì tó wà lówódé tó wà ní bọ́dà wa Hausa. So with all these things wọ́n ti wà ní in government wọ́n ti wà ní strategic points they have ready before we even wake up at all. Ó ti kó lọ́rọ̀ impunity that is another one. Ẹ wo àwọn míì tó ń sọ nígbà tán jí wọn gbé ẹ lọ gbọ́ àwọn conversation àwọn testimony wọn ṣe rí àwọn Haúsá wọ̀nyí ìgbà tí bàbá ti fún wọn ní àyè láti wọlé ó lọ kó àwọn Nìjẹ́ tó jẹ́ bòròró tó jẹ́ from villages tó ò mọ nǹkan kan they are not civilized they were now putting them as ọwọ́ wọnú gbó wa àwọn ẹ̀gàn ló ń operate àwọn tí Haúsá tó wà lọ́dọ̀ wa sọ pé àwa ò mọ̀ wọ́n rí which is a big lie because of their executing a project. Tí a ò bá dẹ̀ rí in this form both elite and the illiterate are not together this thing will consume us together. Ẹgbọ́n tí bàbá Aláàfin sọ àwọn tó ti máa tà wálẹ̀ ti rí yẹn bọ́n ṣe kó wa lẹ́rú láyé tọ́n ṣe kó wa bàbá ńlá wa lẹ́rú láyé àtijọ́ òun lẹ tún rí sí system ẹ̀ tó tún operate yìí.
Okay, let's give him the chance. Let's give him the chance to answer this one because of time. Go ahead, sir. Answer this one and then.
Torí pé bàbá sọ Yorùbá lọ rẹpẹtẹ.
Ben, sir.
I would attempt as much as possible to speak English, but I would let him also understand something. I get him loud and clear.
Thank you.
And he has not told a single lie. To a very large extent, he is correctly analyzing what he has seen. But Shemo, if they say, show me your hand, and I do this, it's my hand. If I also do this, it's also my hand. If I do this, so there are several angles from where you can begin to examine an issue. He's correct about the foreign nationality of most of it that have been found, even those that have been apprehended, those who have been victims of kidnapping. They have described that the Bororos who kidnapped them were mostly people who couldn't even speak a single word of language. In some cases, they have described Bororos who are very good with Yoruba language, which meant that they were born or probably raised within the environment and they've become acculturated and part of the place. What the gentleman has described is not true. What he has explained is not completely wrong, but as I have said, there are several angles to this thing. And you have to have a holistic look at it. But even conceding that he is correct, we still have to look beyond all of this to come to a solution. And that solution is simple. The person who is infiltrating forests in the southern part of Nigeria, what is his agenda? I have had occasion to explain something to most Southerners that they have always ignored. And this is the fact that whilst the Yorubas have always been secessionists in their instinct, the Yorubas are the original secessionists in Nigeria. Long before the Biafrans began their agitation and the civil war, the Yorubas had always wanted secession Nigeria. The Biafrans came and wanted secession as well, but there is a critical question that we almost always fail to ask. What does the North want? When I say the North now, I'm talking about the dominant political hegemony in the North, the Fulani. What do they want? It is when you begin to understand the Fulani agenda, what it truly wants, that you then begin to situate some of these events we are seeking to interpret. They are better understood within the larger context of what it is that the Fulanis are looking for. The gentleman is correct to a very large extent, but he's looking at things in a vacuum. This is not, we don't have the time for me to break down the issues. Frankly speaking, we need to be asking ourselves, what is the Fulani agenda? Because all this bit about the infiltration of the southern forests, the behavior of Buhari and the way he has gone about appointing his cabinet, the institutionalization of impunity in the governance of Nigeria, all this can be located within the Fulani agenda. But that agenda must be understood clearly before you can begin to interpret the different strands that the gentleman has pointed out. If I had time, and if there was a forum, if there is another opportunity at another time where we can talk extensively about what is it that is actually the Fulani agenda, what are his interests, and how has that shaped and affected the different events that are currently playing out within the Nigerian space, I'll be glad to talk about it.
Yeah.
But the gentleman is correct. But he does not, he hasn't situated these issues properly, and it's not the time and the place.
Okay, thank you very much for that. On this note, I want to thank you very much for coming onto the show today, because I have picked up loads of things that will shape my decision, that will shape the way I reason, that will probably give me more vibrance to either want to go right or left in this agitation in this Nigeria. Because I love Nigeria so much. I like the culture. I love the food. I love my people. I love my people. I don't know how much I could, how well, what times I need to use to express the kind of love I have for my people. Because
you know that challenge with them they do.
Okay, what's the challenge?
These are those of us, we don't get anywhere to go. We will not get anywhere. We will go challenge. Now we do this. We don't get anywhere to go. To go, ordinary to go, we can't go. Now here we did. So it goes beyond love, really. In our own case, we are men without choices. We have elected to live and die in this space. And we won't run from them, and them will run from us. We know they run for them.
Okay.
And then we run. We will run.
If war break out today, what do you think is going to be your stand? If what they're dragging in on your own door,
war cannot break out. War cannot break out, and it must not break out. We have to be very, very, very prayerful. We have to be very, very careful, and then most importantly, we need to be very mindful of the consequences of our actions and perhaps inactions. War in this space called Nigeria right now, it will be cataclysmic in its dimensions. We already have, look, I was on Al Jazeera, I was watching Al Jazeera a couple of days ago, and they were showing this controversy about the Israeli-Palestinian COVID vaccination issues. And they were showing pictures of a Palestinian hospital. And I was with a friend who is in the health sector. And the guy told me that in that single ward that we were looking at in Palestine, there were more ICUs in a single ward than in our entire teaching hospital systems. Palestine is dependent on foreign aid. They are mostly refugees, and they have a functional system. We are with the giant of Africa. Our economy, everything is already collapsing. If you layer a war on top of that, you would have a humongous refugee problem that would almost certainly drown the whole of West Africa. And Europe would be yes, well, I should start likely to end in a long time ourselves to make a conscious effort to walk away from anything resembling war. Nigeria cannot, we don't have the capacity to withstand a war right now. We don't. God forbid that it happens.
Okay, you label two things. You said we have to be careful.
We can't survive the war.
Okay, you label two things.
Effects.
You label two things, sir. You label carefulness and prayerfulness. I probably say carefulness and put prayerful in the bin, because the way things stand now, I don't think prayer gets answered in Nigeria anymore, because there's so much evil going on in that country. And it baffles me. Today, I sent a message to Sky News. I probably want to read the message out so that people can actually hear. Because this message, every time they promise to get back to me, but they never get back to me. So I decided to use a stronger terms. I sent it to someone who does clips. I sent it to news. I'm sure you must have noticed the recent cloud over Nigeria. It seems that no one cares, and Sky News in particular are not saying anything about it or have any interest on this issue. Please find time to investigate things as things might take a wrong turn shortly. That is the message I sent to Sky News today. They sent me a message to say, okay, Mr. Thomas will hear you, but someone will get back to you. And the problem we are trying to analyze here, if war should ever break out in Nigeria, the kind of refugee that will flood England, that will flood the whole of Europe, will not be imaginable. Because at the moment, we probably have more than 150 million people living in Nigeria as we stand.
Closer to 200 million.
Living in Nigeria. We're not talking about the one abroad. So closer to 200 million people living in Nigeria. In the south alone, I probably think we have more than 120 million people living in the south. So there's going to be a big, massive problem. Yes, they might probably kill about 20 million, 50 million. But where is the 70 million? Where are they going to go to? This is one thing these people need to realize.
I don't want. You see, those of you who live outside Nigeria, you can game these scenarios and game these scenarios with degree of detachment and businesses and substance are here in Nigeria who have nowhere else to go. We have no choice but to keep hoping against hope that common sense might yet prevail and men might yet learn that we should just live and let live, because if we continue like this, hopefully that war will never come. I really hope and pray that it never comes to that, because we will not survive it.
I made mention of how prepared these people are, the kind of things that were in the bush currently that we want to try and get rid of. Yes, we have our own power, we have our own structure, we have our own little things that we can do. But Bajiban just said, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that, frankly, people have talked extensively about how some people have amassed armories in the forest, how they have learned the roads and all of that. The fact is that when a man has an invader in his home, the invader will eventually lose. That invader will go. Every time the Yorubas have come into contact with Fulani invading forces, we have always repelled them. This will not be different. I am hopeful that things will not get to that point, because that's a dangerous place for Nigeria to be. It's not like we have not come close. We've come close severally. I am hoping that this time around it will not come to that point. This is not, you will say that I said hope. This is not me expressing any confidence in the capacity of the governing system to avert this. But I am still saying that in spite of all of the insanity that you see around, if it comes down to it, even if all this proves to be true, it won't stand. It won't stand. You don't have me fight so far from his base and sustain a campaign. Yeah, you can shock and awe for a few weeks, and then what? You drive us out of our ancestral homes to where? We'll go into the ocean, or we'll submit to slavery in our homelands. That's not going to happen. And I don't believe that is even the agenda. But as I have said before, this is not a forum and we don't have the time. Call me at another time. We can discuss the Fulani Agenda extensively, because that agenda does have a lot of components that explains what is taking place in the southern forests. But conquest is not part of that agenda. So if we are responding to it based on the assumption of a southern conquest, how are you going to conquer? How many people are you going to conquer? What's the size of the Fulanis themselves? How many Fulanis are there? Okay, so you shock and awe for a season. Law and order breaks down to the point where that is happening. It simply means that the people who are fighting defensively in their homeland will eventually gain the upper hand at some point. It's their homeland. They are the ones who have invaded their homeland. So I frankly don't believe that the agenda includes a conquest of Yoruba land. That's a distraction in my view. But like I said, this is not the time.
Okay, I turned the phone off before. I'm so sorry for turning the phone off, but that is the only way we could actually get a little bit more conversation going with my guest today. I want to thank him very much for sparing me so much time on this discussion today. And like he said, I think the next topic will be the Fulani Agenda. Maybe this might be an open Zoom meeting. Can I confirm that with you now? The Fulani Agenda open Zoom meeting. We can fix the date with your PA.
At your convenience. We can speak with that. We can speak with that. I'm fine.
Fantastic.
What I try to avoid is I don't want to start a discussion that I'm unable to do justice to, and then I end up doing violence to the subject and then create more problems than I have set out to solve.
Okay.
But they have time, just as the Yorubas have their own agenda, the Igbos have their own agenda, the Ijaws have their agenda, because we've all engaged Nigerians from the tribal plate. You can be sure that the Fulanis have their own agenda as well, and they've been by far more successful at the execution of their own agenda than other parts of Nigeria who have continually made noise about agendas. The Fulanis have been quite successful at executing their own agenda, but it is important that we understand what that agenda is, so that we are not going to be constantly reacting. We should also plan responses. Responses are different from reactions. We are always reacting to the Fulani agenda. That is the problem of the South. Always reacting.
Maybe I can take you a little bit back, yeah? Yes, I know time is up, yeah? But
no, you must free me.
I'm freeing you now. I'm freeing you like now. But last one before you go. The Igbos in 1966 start all this mess by trying to create the agenda that the Fulani are enjoying today. But maybe we should leave all this one till next time. Mr. Dele wrote to me. I think
it is very important. It is important. It's very important. The Igbos did not start anything in 1966. They did not. Kaduna Nzeku was more of a Fulani man than an Igbo man. Don't let anybody trick you.
Okay.
His personal physician was an Hausa man. His cook was an Hausa man. That man spoke Hausa more than Igbo. He was even from Ogwashi Ukwu, if my memory serves me right. there are so many narratives around that thing, but I want us to be very careful. My Igbo brothers can be very sensitive to those issues. 1966, it wasn't an Igbo thing. There were Igbo men who were principal actors.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, I just needed to clean that up. Please.
Okay, thank you very much. Because someone write it there.
Already, we can sit down and have this discussion.
I'm going to try and I'm going to delete that comment from somebody there. So I want to say a very big thank you, and on behalf of everybody watching, we want to say a very big thank you today. Until next time, when you come our way again, I want to say a big and massive thank you, sir. God bless you, sir. Good night.
Amen. I need to. God bless you.
Bye bye.
Have a wonderful evening.
We will do, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. That was lawyer Dele Farotimi, who has been speaking to me for the last 2 hours. I only asked for 1 hour, but this man gave me 2 hours. Is it in a gentleman? He wants to clear some few issues, and he managed to clear so many issues. Yes, some of us might not agree with what he has to say, but he managed to put his point across the right way, so that some people who are sitting on the fence before might be able to jump to some conclusion and make up their own mind from the discussion. I want to thank every one of you who is online today. I know a lot of people are here and gone, but it's a good thing that you're here, because if you're not here, you won't be part of this lecture. Please like the program or dislike the program. What the Fulani wants is to take over the whole Nigeria. Yes, I can say that with you, Sister Eileen Obafemi. I can say that as well with you. Lawyer Dele has his own mind, and he has seen things the way he's seen things in Nigeria. We don't live in Nigeria, but we see some of the mess that is being created in Nigeria. I want to thank him again for his endurance, because they actually endure with me. We were fighting the system right and left today because things was not working the way they're supposed to work. Like I say, every time I do a flyer, there's always a problem. Thank you very much, guys. Until next time I come your way again, I remain loyal to Yoruba land, and loyal to you guys, and loyal to God, number one, who is my number one. Nobody can take that away. Nigeria is a country, but heaven is home, as some people will say. And I want to say this to you guys. Even the Yoruba recognize heaven as home. The Yoruba people, the Yoruba tradition recognize heaven as home, regardless of what anybody could say. Because there's a song that we know when we were very young. They say, Ayeloja Orunile. I don't know if a lot of people remember that song, Ayeloja Orunile. And it's been ongoing. That song has been ongoing for some time now. And nobody can change that. Nobody can take that. We know that, we believe in that, and we take that as a final, as a Bible. So until next time that I come your way again, I remain loyal to you. Good night, and God bless you.